In an age defined by rapid change, uncertainty, and constant evolution, the idea of self-reinvention has become not just an option, but a necessity. Whether driven by career changes, personal challenges, or a desire to grow, the process of transformation is central to navigating modern life. The world we live in, with its fast-paced innovations and ever-shifting social dynamics, demands that we adapt. But beyond mere adaptation lies something far more profound: the opportunity to redefine who we are, what we stand for, and how we engage with the world. This journey of self-reinvention isn't about abandoning our past selves, but about building on them, refining our strengths, confronting our weaknesses, and evolving into a more authentic and empowered version of ourselves. The concept of personal reinvention is timeless, yet it has taken on new urgency in today's world. We are constantly bombarded with messages urging us to improve or transform, but the ancient philosophers who explored the nature of change offer a deeper, more enduring perspective. Reinvention, in their view, isn't about superficial alterations or achieving societal standards of success. It is about cultivating an inner sense of purpose and alignment, embracing growth not for external validation, but for personal fulfillment. Philosophies such as Stoicism, existentialism, and Buddhism have long emphasized the importance of personal growth and transformation. These schools of thought remind us that change begins from within, and that it is through self-awareness, discipline, and reflection that we can navigate the challenges of life with clarity and resilience. Reinvention, as these philosophies teach, is not simply about changing careers or lifestyles. It is about transforming our inner landscape, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our habits. It is about becoming more aligned with our true nature, shedding the layers of conditioning and expectation that have accumulated over the years, and emerging as a more grounded, intentional individual. Stoicism, in particular, offers a profound guide to self-reinvention. At its core, Stoicism teaches that while we cannot control the external world, we have complete control over our reactions, decisions, and internal state. This focus on personal responsibility and inner strength is key to lasting transformation. In a world where so much feels beyond our control, whether it's the unpredictability of the job market, the pressures of social media, or the upheaval of global events, the Stoics remind us that our power lies in how we choose to respond. Reinvention, in the Stoic sense, is not about chasing external achievements, but about cultivating virtues like resilience, wisdom, and self-discipline that allow us to face life's uncertainties with grace. Existentialism, another key philosophy in the realm of personal transformation, goes even deeper into the question of meaning. Existentialist thinkers such as Jean-Paul Sartre and Albert Camus challenged the idea that life comes with inherent meaning. Instead, they argued that it is up to each of us to create meaning for ourselves. This radical freedom can be both liberating and terrifying. Reinventing yourself in an existential sense means taking full responsibility for your choices, your values, and the direction of your life. It means confronting the absurdity of existence head-on and choosing, despite it all, to live with purpose and integrity. Existentialism pushes us to examine our lives, strip away the superficial, and ask ourselves the deep, sometimes uncomfortable questions. What do I stand for? What kind of life do I want to live? What does it mean to be truly authentic? Buddhism, too, offers valuable insights into the process of self-reinvention. The Buddhist concept of impermanence teaches us that everything in life is in a constant state of flux, including ourselves. Clinging to fixed ideas of who we are or who we should be only leads to suffering. Personal growth, from a Buddhist perspective, is about letting go of attachments and embracing change with an open heart and mind. Through practices like mindfulness and meditation, we can develop a greater awareness of our thoughts and emotions, enabling us to see where we are stuck and where we can grow. In this way, self-reinvention becomes a process of shedding old identities and patterns, allowing us to step more fully into the present moment and create a life that reflects our true nature. As we look ahead to 2025, the need for personal reinvention has never been more relevant. The world is changing at an unprecedented pace, and the demands placed upon us, both personally and professionally, are greater than ever before. But rather than seeing this as a source of stress or anxiety, we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. The wisdom of ancient philosophies, combined with modern understanding, provides a roadmap for navigating this journey of self-transformation. Whether through the disciplined mindset of Stoicism, the existential quest for meaning, or the mindful acceptance of Buddhism, the path to reinvention is one that empowers us to take control of our lives, align with our deepest values, and embrace the future with confidence and clarity. In the chapters that follow, we will explore these ancient philosophies in more depth, examining how they can be applied to our modern lives and goals. The wisdom of the Stoics, the existentialists, and other great thinkers offers not just abstract ideas, but practical tools for reinventing yourself in a way that is meaningful, sustainable, and aligned with your true purpose. The journey to self-reinvention is not a one-time event, but a lifelong process. And as we embrace this process, we become not only stronger and more resilient, but also more attuned to the deeper currents of life that guide us toward our true potential. At the heart of Stoicism lies a set of principles that offer profound guidance for personal growth. These principles, virtue, wisdom, and resilience, form the foundation of the Stoic way of life, and they are as relevant today as they were in ancient times. To understand how Stoicism can help you grow and transform, it's essential to delve into these core concepts and see how they can be applied to your own life. Virtue, in Stoic philosophy, is the highest good. For the Stoics, living a virtuous life meant aligning your actions with moral principles such as honesty, courage, justice, and integrity. But virtue is not just about adhering to a set of ethical rules. It's about developing a deep sense of inner character that guides your decisions and actions. In modern life, where the lines between right and wrong can often seem blurred, cultivating virtue provides a clear compass. It allows you to act in a way that is consistent with your values, even when external pressures or temptations might pull you in other directions. Personal growth, in the Stoic sense, begins with this commitment to living according to virtue, regardless of the circumstances. Wisdom, another central tenet of Stoicism, is the ability to see things clearly and understand what is within your control and what is not. This distinction is crucial for personal growth. As Epictetus famously said, some things are in our control and others are not. The Stoics taught that by focusing on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and attitudes, you free yourself from the frustration and anxiety that come from trying to control the uncontrollable. In modern life, this principle is incredibly powerful. So much of our stress comes from worrying about things we cannot change, other people's opinions, the outcome of events, or the state of the world. By practicing wisdom, you learn to let go of these concerns and direct your energy toward what you can influence, your own behavior and mindset. Resilience is the third pillar of Stoic philosophy, and perhaps the most important when it comes to personal growth. Life is filled with challenges, setbacks, and difficulties, and the ability to endure these hardships with strength and grace is a hallmark of Stoic resilience. The Stoics believed that adversity is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced. As Seneca wrote, Fire is the test of gold, adversity of strong men. Challenges in the Stoic view are opportunities for growth. They allow you to test your character, build your strength, and cultivate the inner fortitude needed to navigate life's trials. Resilience is not about denying the pain or difficulty of life's challenges, but about facing them with courage and perseverance. These three principles, virtue, wisdom, and resilience, are the foundation of personal growth in Stoic philosophy. By cultivating these qualities, you create a strong inner core that enables you to face life's challenges with clarity and strength. The Stoics believed that true growth comes not from external achievements, but from internal mastery. It is through the practice of virtue, the pursuit of wisdom, and the development of resilience that you become the best version of yourself. Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, the three most influential Stoic thinkers, each contributed unique insights to this philosophy. Epictetus, a former slave, taught that freedom is not about external circumstances, but about mastering your mind. His teachings emphasize the importance of focusing on what you can control and letting go of the rest. Seneca, a Roman statesman and philosopher, wrote extensively about the importance of resilience and the value of embracing adversity as a path to personal growth. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, reflected deeply on the nature of leadership, responsibility, and the fleeting nature of life in his personal writings, which later became known as Meditations. Together, their teachings provide a comprehensive guide to personal growth, rooted in the understanding that true power comes from within. By focusing on what you can control, living according to virtue, and developing resilience, you can navigate life's challenges with greater ease and clarity. In the process, you grow not just in external success, but in internal strength, wisdom, and fulfillment. Jean-Paul Sartre, one of the most prominent existential philosophers, articulated a powerful and liberating concept that sits at the heart of existentialism. Existence precedes essence. This idea, both profound and challenging, suggests that we are not born with a predetermined purpose or essence. Instead, it is through our actions, choices, and decisions that we create who we are. Sartre argued that humans are fundamentally free, and it is this freedom that gives us the responsibility to define our essence. In contrast to traditional beliefs that some external force or preordained plan dictates the meaning of our lives, existentialism asserts that the individual holds the power to create meaning. We are not born with a fixed identity or purpose. We are born into a world where we must define our own paths. For Sartre, this freedom is both a burden and an opportunity. It can be daunting to realize that there is no inherent roadmap to follow, but it is also incredibly empowering. The ability to shape our destiny lies entirely in our hands. This idea becomes particularly relevant when considering the concept of self-reinvention. In a world that often pressures us to conform to societal expectations or follow pre-existing paths, existentialism encourages us to take ownership of our freedom. Reinventing yourself, from an existential perspective, is about recognizing that you are not bound by your past choices, external circumstances, or societal roles. Instead, you have the freedom to redefine who you are at any moment. Existentialism challenges the comforting idea that life comes with a built-in meaning. Sartre argued that we exist first, born into a chaotic, indifferent universe, and only later do we create our essence through our decisions and actions. In this sense, personal reinvention is not a one-time event, but a continuous process. Every day we have the opportunity to make choices that shape our identity, our values, and our path in life. This concept is liberating, but it can also be overwhelming. The weight of total freedom comes with the burden of responsibility. Sartre referred to this feeling as anguish, the realization that we are the sole architects of our lives. There is no external authority to blame, no divine plan to rely on. We are responsible for our actions, our values, and the meaning we create for ourselves. For those seeking personal reinvention, existentialism offers a framework that encourages introspection and boldness. It begins with acknowledging that you are not defined by your past, your circumstances, or what others expect of you. You are free to make new choices, to take new directions, and to redefine your essence through your actions. This process of reinvention requires a deep level of self-awareness and reflection. It involves questioning your current beliefs, habits, and identity, and asking whether they truly align with your authentic self. To embrace this existential freedom, start by reflecting on your current life. Are you living in accordance with values that you have chosen, or are you merely following the path laid out for you by others? Are your actions and decisions shaped by your own desires, or are they influenced by societal norms and expectations? Existentialism asks you to confront these questions head-on and to take ownership of your freedom. It's about recognizing that you have the power to shape your life, but with that power comes the responsibility to act with intention and authenticity. Practical steps to embracing this existential freedom and responsibility involve cultivating a mindset of active choice. Begin by identifying the areas of your life where you feel trapped or constrained. Are there decisions you've been avoiding because you fear the consequences? Are there aspects of your identity that you've allowed to be defined by others? By bringing these areas to light, you can start to make conscious choices that align with your true self. Another crucial aspect of existential reinvention is the willingness to take risks and accept uncertainty. Since there is no predefined essence, every decision you make involves stepping into the unknown. You may not always know the outcome of your choices, and that's okay. Existentialism teaches us that meaning is created through the act of choosing, not in the certainty of the outcome. By embracing uncertainty, you open yourself to new possibilities and experiences that can lead to growth and transformation. Sartre's concept of existence preceding essence is a call to take ownership of your life, to define who you are through your actions, and to embrace the responsibility that comes with freedom. Reinvention, from an existential perspective, is about shedding the labels and roles imposed on you and becoming the person you choose to be. It's an ongoing process of self-creation, fueled by the understanding that your essence is not something you find, it's something you make. Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher who defied conventions and challenged traditional morality, introduced a concept that resonates deeply with the Stoic mindset: amor fati, or the love of one's fate. Nietzsche's idea of loving your fate goes beyond mere acceptance of life's events. It invites us to embrace all aspects of our existence, the good, the bad, and the painful, with open arms. Amor fati is not just about enduring life's challenges, but about finding meaning and even joy in them. In a world filled with uncertainty, suffering, and unpredictability, the concept of amor fati offers a radical approach to facing adversity. Rather than viewing challenges as obstacles to overcome or tragedies to avoid, Nietzsche encourages us to see them as essential parts of the human experience. By loving your fate, you are not merely tolerating what happens to you. You are actively embracing it as something necessary and valuable. This mindset can transform the way you approach hardship, struggle, and failure, turning them into opportunities for growth and meaning. At its core, amor fati is about acceptance. Acceptance not in the passive sense of resignation, but in the active sense of embracing life in its entirety. Life is unpredictable, filled with both triumphs and setbacks, joys and sorrows. Nietzsche believed that to truly live fully, one must learn to say yes to all of it. This includes the moments of pain, disappointment, and suffering that are often an inevitable part of existence. Instead of wishing things were different or clinging to an idealized version of life, Amor Fati calls us to love life as it is, in all its complexity and imperfection. The Stoics shared a similar perspective. For the Stoics, fate was something to be accepted with equanimity and grace. They believed that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond to it. This aligns closely with Nietzsche's Amor Fati, which teaches us to not only accept our circumstances, but to embrace them as necessary parts of our journey. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic Roman emperor, often reflected on the nature of fate and how we should approach it. In his Meditations, he wrote, "Love only what happens to you and is woven into the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs?" This sentiment captures the essence of Amor Fati, that everything we experience, no matter how difficult, is woven into the fabric of our destiny. It is not something to be resisted, but something to be embraced as part of the larger picture of our lives. This mindset can be incredibly powerful when facing adversity. Rather than fighting against the inevitable or resenting the challenges that life throws at us, Amor Fati encourages us to see those challenges as opportunities for growth and self-discovery. When we adopt this perspective, we stop viewing hardship as something to be feared or avoided. Instead, we start to see it as an essential part of the human experience, one that can shape us into stronger, wiser, and more resilient individuals. To cultivate Amor Fati in your own life, begin by practicing acceptance in the face of difficulty. When challenges arise, instead of immediately reacting with frustration, anger, or resistance, take a step back and reflect on how these experiences might contribute to your growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this situation? How can this challenge help me become a better, stronger version of myself? By shifting your perspective in this way, you transform adversity into a tool for personal development. Another practical way to embrace Amor Fati is to practice gratitude for all experiences, not just the positive ones. Gratitude is often associated with counting your blessings or appreciating the good things in life, but true gratitude extends to the challenges and setbacks as well. When you can express gratitude for the difficult moments, for the pain, the failure, the uncertainty, you open yourself up to a deeper level of acceptance and understanding. These experiences, after all, are what shape your character and build your resilience. Amor Fati also teaches us to let go of the need for control. Much of our suffering comes from the desire to control outcomes, to ensure that life goes according to our plans. But the reality is that life is unpredictable, and trying to control everything only leads to frustration and disappointment. By embracing the idea of Amor Fati, you learn to release this need for control and instead trust that whatever happens is part of your journey. This doesn't mean you stop striving for your goals or taking action. It simply means that you approach life with an attitude of openness and acceptance, knowing that whatever comes your way, you have the strength to face it. Nietzsche's concept of Amor Fati, much like Stoicism, invites us to find meaning in every experience, to love our fate no matter what it brings. It is a call to embrace life in its entirety, to see the value in both joy and suffering, and to approach adversity with courage and acceptance. In doing so, we not only transform the way we face challenges, but also deepen our connection to life itself. At the heart of Stoic philosophy lies a simple but profoundly transformative idea: focus only on what you can control. This core principle, known as the dichotomy of control, was famously articulated by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, whose teachings encourage us to direct our attention and energy toward what lies within our power, while calmly accepting that much of life is beyond our control. The beauty of this approach is that it offers a clear path to inner peace and resilience, even in the face of life's inevitable challenges and uncertainties. Epictetus begins with a fundamental distinction. Some things are up to us, and others are not. The things that are up to us include our thoughts, actions, attitudes, and responses. Essentially, everything that stems from our own mind and character. On the other hand, things like the opinions of others, external events, and the outcomes of our efforts fall outside our control. By making this distinction, we can liberate ourselves from the frustration, anxiety, and stress that arise when we attempt to control the uncontrollable. This idea of focusing on what you can control may seem deceptively simple, but in practice, it requires a significant shift in mindset. We live in a world that encourages us to strive for external success, to seek validation from others, and to control every aspect of our lives. This creates a tremendous amount of pressure as we constantly worry about things that are beyond our influence. Epictetus teaches us that by redirecting our focus inward toward what we can actually control, our thoughts, decisions, and actions, we can achieve a sense of freedom and tranquility that is not dependent on external circumstances. One of the key benefits of adopting this Stoic mindset is that it helps you develop emotional resilience. When you stop worrying about things beyond your control, you free yourself from the emotional roller coaster that often accompanies life's ups and downs. If you focus only on what you can influence, how you respond to challenges, how you treat others, how you approach your goals, then external events lose their power to disturb your inner peace. You no longer feel at the mercy of circumstances because you recognize that your true power lies in your ability to choose how you respond. This idea is central to personal growth, as it empowers you to take full responsibility for your life. While you cannot control what happens to you, you can always control how you react. In this way, even setbacks and failures become opportunities for growth and learning. The Stoics believed that adversity is not something to be feared or avoided, but rather embraced as a chance to strengthen your character. By focusing on what you can control, you shift your perspective from one of victimhood to one of empowerment. To put the dichotomy of control into practice, start by identifying the areas of your life where you tend to feel stressed, anxious, or frustrated. Are these feelings arising because you are trying to control something outside your influence? For example, you may worry about how others perceive you, whether you'll succeed in a particular endeavor or the outcome of a situation at work. Once you recognize that these things are not within your control, you can begin to let go of the anxiety surrounding them. Instead, focus on what you can control, how you prepare, how you communicate, and how you show up in the world. One practical method for applying this principle is to create a control inventory. At the start of each day, take a few moments to write down the things that are on your mind, your concerns, goals, and tasks. Then, categorize each item as either something within your control or something beyond it. This simple exercise helps you clarify where to focus your energy and attention. For the things within your control, set intentions for how you will act, respond, and move forward. For the things outside your control, practice acceptance and remind yourself that these outcomes do not define your peace of mind or your worth. Another powerful tool in Stoic practice is the use of affirmations to reinforce this mindset. Throughout your day, when faced with challenges or uncertainties, repeat to yourself, "This is outside of my control. My power lies in how I respond." By internalizing this affirmation, you train your mind to release attachment to external events and instead focus on what you can control, your actions, attitudes, and reactions. The Stoics also teach us that focusing on what you can control doesn't mean giving up on ambition or goals. It simply means detaching your sense of self-worth and peace from the outcomes. You can still strive for success, but you do so with the understanding that the outcome is not fully within your control. Your role is to give your best effort, to act with integrity and wisdom, and to accept whatever happens as part of the natural flow of life. This mindset allows you to pursue your goals with passion and commitment, but without the anxiety that comes from trying to control the uncontrollable. In sum, the dichotomy of control is a powerful Stoic practice that can radically transform the way you approach life. By focusing only on what you can control, you free yourself from the burden of trying to manage things that are inherently beyond your influence. This not only leads to greater emotional resilience, but also fosters a deep sense of inner peace and empowerment. You become less reactive to external events, more grounded in your own values and actions, and more capable of navigating life's challenges with grace and equanimity. Albert Camus, the French philosopher and novelist, introduced a concept that aligns closely with Stoic resilience, yet offers a distinct perspective on life's inherent meaninglessness. His philosophy, often associated with existentialism, centers around the idea of the absurd, the conflict between our human desire for meaning and the universe's indifference to our quest. In his famous work, The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus presents a striking image of the absurd hero, Sisyphus, condemned by the gods to an eternity of rolling a boulder up a hill, only to watch it roll back down every time he nears the summit. For Camus, Sisyphus symbolizes the human condition. We strive for meaning, for purpose, for order, in a universe that offers none. And yet, rather than succumbing to despair, Sisyphus chooses to embrace his fate. He finds joy in the struggle itself, in the act of pushing the boulder despite the futility of the task. This, for Camus, is the essence of rebellion against life's absurdity, to acknowledge the meaninglessness of existence and to create meaning through our own choices and actions. Camus' philosophy of the absurd invites us to confront the uncomfortable truth that life has no inherent purpose. This can be a disorienting realization, but it also opens the door to a profound kind of freedom. If life has no predetermined meaning, then we are free to create our own. We are not bound by societal expectations or traditional notions of success. Instead, we are free to define our values, our purpose, and our identity on our own terms. The key to navigating this existential freedom lies in embracing the struggle. Like Sisyphus, we must come to terms with the fact that much of life's meaning comes from the act of striving itself, rather than from any external reward or final achievement. In The Myth of Sisyphus, Camus writes, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy. This happiness does not come from the illusion of success, but from the recognition that the struggle is what gives life its richness and depth." To apply Camus's philosophy to your own life, start by acknowledging the absurdity of existence. Life is unpredictable, chaotic, and often unfair. There is no grand design or guaranteed outcome, but rather than seeing this as a reason for despair, view it as an invitation to create your own meaning. This is the ultimate act of rebellion against life's meaninglessness, to take responsibility for your life, your choices, and your identity, even in the face of uncertainty. One practical step to embrace the absurd hero within you is to focus on the process rather than the outcome. Like Sisyphus, find meaning in the act of pushing the boulder rather than in reaching the summit. Whether you are working on a personal project, navigating a challenging relationship, or pursuing a long-term goal, shift your attention to the present moment, to the effort you are putting in, and to the lessons you are learning along the way. The outcome may be uncertain, but the value lies in the struggle itself. Camus also encourages us to find joy in the small moments of life, even amidst chaos. In a world that offers no guarantees, it is the simple, everyday experiences, sharing a meal with a friend, feeling the warmth of the sun, or engaging in meaningful work, that provide a sense of fulfillment. By cultivating gratitude for these moments, you reclaim your agency in crafting a life that is rich in meaning, even in the face of life's inherent absurdity. Ultimately, Camus' philosophy of the absurd invites us to take ownership of our lives, to accept the meaninglessness of existence, and to find joy in the struggle itself. It is a call to live fully, to rebel against despair, and to create meaning where none exists. In doing so, we become the absurd hero, capable of facing life's chaos with courage, resilience, and a deep sense of personal responsibility. Erich Fromm, a German social psychologist and philosopher, introduced a compelling view of self-love that contrasts sharply with the negative connotations often associated with selfishness. In his seminal work, The Art of Loving, Fromm emphasized that self-love is not synonymous with selfishness. Rather, it is the foundation of all love. He believed that to love others, one must first cultivate a healthy and balanced sense of self-love. This idea is crucial for anyone embarking on the journey of reinvention, as it underscores the importance of caring for oneself in order to grow and thrive. Fromm's distinction between self-love and selfishness lies at the heart of this discussion. Self-love, in his view, is an affirmation of one's own worth. It is the ability to nurture, respect, and care for oneself in a healthy way, without diminishing the care and respect given to others. In contrast, selfishness is a preoccupation with oneself at the expense of others, a disregard for the well-being and needs of those around you. Fromm argued that true self-love leads to the opposite of selfishness. It fosters generosity, empathy, and the capacity to genuinely love others. In the context of personal reinvention, learning to cultivate self-love is essential. Reinventing yourself requires energy, focus, and resilience, all of which are nurtured by a strong foundation of self-care. However, in modern society, self-care is often conflated with indulgence or seen as selfish. Many people, especially those who are caregivers or highly empathetic, struggle with guilt when they prioritize their own needs. Fromm's philosophy offers a way to reframe this. Caring for yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. Without adequate self-care, you cannot show up fully for others, nor can you grow into the person you aspire to be. To practice self-love without guilt, it's important to differentiate between healthy self-care and destructive selfishness. Self-care involves actions that support your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. This could be as simple as setting aside time each day for reflection, or as essential as establishing boundaries with people who drain your energy. On the other hand, selfishness disregards others' needs entirely and often leads to actions that harm relationships or communities. The key is balance. A practical way to begin cultivating self-love is through daily affirmations and self-reflection. Take a few moments each morning to acknowledge your worth and affirm your commitment to self-care. Remind yourself that taking care of your needs is a prerequisite for showing up fully in your relationships, work, and personal growth. This mental shift can help you approach self-love not as an indulgence, but as a vital part of your well-being. Fromm also believed that self-love requires discipline and responsibility. It's not about indulging every whim or avoiding discomfort. Instead, it involves making choices that align with your long-term well-being, even when they require effort or sacrifice. This could mean sticking to a routine that supports your mental and physical health, saying no to commitments that overwhelm you, or engaging in activities that help you grow, even if they are challenging. By viewing self-love through the lens of discipline, you can shift from seeing it as selfish to understanding it as a form of self-respect. Another important aspect of healthy self-love is setting boundaries. Boundaries are a way of communicating your needs and protecting your energy. They allow you to take responsibility for your well-being without feeling guilty for saying no or for prioritizing your health. Boundaries are especially important in relationships, where the lines between self-love and selfishness can become blurred. Fromm's teachings encourage us to set boundaries not to exclude others, but to create a space where both we and others can flourish. It's also useful to incorporate regular self-care rituals that reinforce self-love. These can be small, intentional acts such as journaling, practicing mindfulness, or engaging in a creative hobby. These activities help you connect with yourself, nurture your inner life, and reinforce the idea that your well-being is worth the investment. Fromm's ideas encourage a holistic approach to self-love, one that includes emotional, intellectual, and even spiritual self-care. The journey of reinvention is demanding, and it's easy to lose sight of your own needs along the way. But Fromm's perspective reminds us that self-love is not just an add-on, it's the foundation of personal growth. Without it, the process of change becomes unsustainable. When you care for yourself deeply and without guilt, you give yourself the resources, both emotional and physical, to grow into your fullest potential. This is the paradox at the heart of Fromm's philosophy. The more you love yourself in a healthy, balanced way, the more you are able to love and serve others. As you continue your journey towards self-reinvention, remember that self-love is not only about self-care, it's about self-respect, discipline, and balance. It's about nurturing the parts of yourself that are essential for growth, while also recognizing that you cannot pour from an empty cup. By practicing healthy self-love, you build the resilience and strength needed to transform, not only for your own sake, but for the benefit of everyone around you. In the Stoic tradition, adversity is not seen as something to be avoided, but as a necessary part of life that shapes and strengthens us. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, believed that adversity is like a refining fire that purifies and strengthens our character. He wrote extensively on the idea that hardship is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as an opportunity for personal growth. In Seneca's view, the true measure of a person's character is not how they behave when things are going well, but how they respond in the face of adversity. He likened adversity to a fire that burns away the impurities, leaving behind only what is strong and true. This perspective offers a powerful way to reframe our relationship with challenges. Rather than seeing them as obstacles that derail us, we can choose to view them as opportunities to test and strengthen our resilience. Seneca's teachings remind us that adversity is inevitable. Life is full of setbacks, challenges, and unexpected difficulties. But it's not the adversity itself that defines us, it's how we respond. The Stoics believed that we always have a choice in how we react to the events in our lives. While we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we interpret and respond to those events. This shift in perspective is crucial for anyone seeking personal reinvention, as it allows you to see adversity not as a setback, but as an essential part of the growth process. One of the key ways to cultivate resilience in the face of adversity is to change the way you interpret challenges. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" This simple shift in mindset transforms adversity from something that happens to you into something that happens for you. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The Stoics also taught the practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves mentally preparing for adversity by imagining potential challenges and setbacks before they happen. The purpose of this exercise is not to dwell on negative outcomes, but to build resilience by accepting that adversity is a natural part of life. By preparing your mind for the possibility of hardship, you become less reactive when it occurs. You are better able to maintain your composure and make rational decisions, rather than being overwhelmed by fear or frustration. In practical terms, you can start by reflecting on the challenges you faced in the past. How did they shape you? What did you learn from them? This reflection helps you build a mindset that views adversity as a teacher rather than an enemy. It also allows you to recognize that many of the difficulties you've faced have, in fact, contributed to your growth. Another way to shift your mindset around adversity is to practice gratitude for the lessons it brings. This may seem counterintuitive, especially when you are in the midst of a difficult situation, but by focusing on the growth that comes from hardship, you can begin to appreciate adversity for the opportunities it provides. This doesn't mean you need to enjoy the pain or discomfort that comes with challenges. Rather, it means recognizing that adversity is part of the process of becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Seneca also reminds us that adversity reveals our true strength. It's easy to feel confident and capable when everything is going smoothly, but it's during the difficult times that we discover what we are truly made of. Adversity strips away the superficial and forces us to confront our deepest fears, insecurities, and weaknesses. In doing so, it also reveals our inner strength, courage, and resilience. This is why Seneca believed that adversity is not something to be feared, but embraced. As you encounter challenges in your journey of self-reinvention, remember that adversity is not a sign that you are failing. On the contrary, it is a natural part of the process. Every setback is an opportunity to grow, to strengthen your resolve, and to deepen your understanding of yourself. The Stoic approach teaches us to view adversity not as a barrier, but as a stepping stone on the path to personal growth. One practical technique for embracing adversity is to develop a daily reflection practice. At the end of each day, take a few moments to reflect on any challenges you faced. How did you respond? What did you learn? By consistently reflecting on your responses to adversity, you can begin to see patterns in your behavior and identify areas where you can grow. This practice also helps you cultivate a mindset that views adversity as an opportunity rather than a threat. Ultimately, Seneca's view of adversity as a refining fire challenges us to see hardship in a new light. It invites us to embrace the difficulties we encounter as opportunities for growth and transformation. By shifting our mindset and cultivating resilience, we can turn adversity into a powerful force for personal development. In this way, every challenge. In the search for personal reinvention, balance and moderation stand as central themes across many philosophies, but perhaps none so profoundly as in Buddhist teachings on the middle way. The Buddha, having experienced both the extremes of indulgence and severe asceticism, found that neither led to true enlightenment. Instead, it was in the balance between the two, the middle path, that peace, wisdom, and growth emerged. This philosophy holds immense value for those of us seeking to transform ourselves in today's fast-paced, often extreme world. The middle way can be understood as a path of moderation, avoiding the extremes of overindulgence and deprivation. In modern life, we are often pulled in these directions, chasing excess or punishing ourselves through austerity. Whether it's in our work, relationships, or personal habits, extremes create imbalance. On one hand, we may indulge in excesses of consumption, pleasure, or ambition, which leave us feeling empty and disconnected from our true selves. On the other hand, extreme self-denial can isolate us from joy, from connection, and even from the sense of purpose that fuels personal growth. The middle way offers a path to harmony, one where the cultivation of wisdom, mindfulness, and self-compassion leads to a sustainable, fulfilling life. When seeking personal reinvention, balance is essential. Transformation is not about swinging from one extreme to another, but about integrating all aspects of your life, work, play, rest, relationships, into a harmonious whole. In Buddhist philosophy, the middle way is not just a theoretical concept, but a practical guide to daily living. It asks us to examine our thoughts, actions, and desires, and to find a place of moderation. In the context of self-transformation, this means recognizing that growth and change are not about denying yourself pleasure or pushing yourself to the breaking point. It's about fostering a disciplined yet compassionate approach to life. One way to apply the middle way to personal transformation is to examine the extremes in your own life. Where are you overindulging? Perhaps it's in the pursuit of success, constantly pushing yourself to work harder and achieve more at the expense of your health and relationships. On the other hand, where are you depriving yourself? Maybe it's in areas of self-care, joy, or personal fulfillment, where you deny yourself simple pleasures or neglect to nurture your emotional well-being. By identifying these areas, you can begin to recalibrate and find a more balanced approach. Another aspect of the middle way is the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness allows you to observe your thoughts and actions without judgment, helping you notice when you are slipping into extremes. With this awareness, you can course correct, bringing yourself back to the center. This practice is particularly useful in a world that often celebrates excess and intensity. Whether it's the pressure to be constantly productive or the allure of instant gratification, mindfulness can help you navigate these temptations and choose a more balanced path. Incorporating balance into your daily routines is also essential. This might mean creating a schedule that allows for both work and rest, for effort and relaxation. It could mean setting boundaries in your personal life that allow you to maintain relationships without overextending yourself. The middle way teaches that true transformation does not come from exhausting yourself, but from finding sustainable rhythms that nourish your growth. Meditation and reflective practices can also support you in maintaining balance. By regularly taking time to sit quietly, reflect on your life, and assess whether you are walking the middle path, you can make adjustments as needed. These moments of reflection help ensure that your transformation is grounded not in extreme measures, but in a steady, balanced approach that supports long-term well-being. Buddhism's middle way is not about avoiding challenges or discomfort, but about approaching life with equanimity. As you face the inevitable ups and downs of personal reinvention, the middle path provides a framework for staying centered. It allows you to engage fully with life's experiences, whether joyful or painful, without becoming attached to extremes. In this way, balance becomes a tool for resilience and inner peace. Ultimately, the middle way is a philosophy of integration, bringing together the various aspects of yourself and your life into a harmonious whole. It invites you to step away from the polarities that can dominate your thinking and behavior, and instead to seek a balanced, compassionate approach to growth. This is not only a path to transformation, but also a path to deeper fulfillment, as you learn to live in alignment with your true nature. As you continue on your journey of reinvention, consider how you might apply the principles of the middle way to your life. Where can you create more balance? How can you bring moderation to your habits, relationships, and goals? By embracing the middle path, you will find that transformation is not about swinging from one extreme to another, but about cultivating a steady, sustainable approach to personal growth. In Aristotle's philosophy, The concept of eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or living well, sits at the heart of his ethics. For Aristotle, living a virtuous life is the key to achieving eudaimonia, and it is through virtuous actions that we realize our highest potential as human beings. This ancient idea holds tremendous relevance for those of us seeking personal reinvention today, especially as we strive to align our lives with deeper values and a sense of purpose. Aristotle believed that eudaimonia is not simply about pleasure or momentary happiness. It's about living a life of meaning, fulfillment, and moral integrity. It's about realizing your potential through the consistent practice of virtues such as courage, wisdom, temperance, and justice. These virtues are not abstract ideals, but practical guides for living well. They offer a roadmap for aligning your decisions and actions with your highest values, helping you to flourish both personally and within your community. In the context of personal reinvention, Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia asks us to reflect on the deeper purpose behind our goals and actions. Are we pursuing fleeting pleasures, or are we striving for a life of lasting fulfillment? Are we aligning our decisions with virtues that foster growth and well-being, or are we being swayed by external pressures and superficial desires? To begin this process of alignment, it's essential to take a step back and reevaluate your core values. What principles guide your life? What do you truly care about, and how do your daily actions reflect or conflict with those values? This reflection is crucial because, as Aristotle taught, living a virtuous life is not about occasional acts of goodness, but about consistently embodying your values in every aspect of your life. It's through this consistency that you cultivate eudaimonia. One exercise to help you reassess your values is to make a list of the qualities and virtues you admire most in others. Whether it's honesty, kindness, perseverance, or humility, these virtues offer clues to what you value most deeply. Once you've identified these virtues, ask yourself, how do these values show up in my life? Are there areas where I am not living in alignment with these virtues? This exercise can help you identify where your actions might be out of sync with your values and where you can make changes to live more authentically. Aristotle also emphasized the importance of phronesis, or practical wisdom, in living a virtuous life. Practical wisdom is the ability to make sound decisions based on experience, reflection, and a deep understanding of what is good for yourself and others. It's not enough to know what is virtuous. You must also know how to apply that knowledge in real-life situations. This requires a willingness to reflect on your actions, learn from your mistakes, and continually refine your judgment. To develop phronesis, start by reflecting on past decisions. Think about a time when you acted in a way that was aligned with your values, and another time when you didn't. What was different about those situations? What guided your decision-making in each case? By analyzing these moments, you can begin to develop a clearer sense of how to apply your values in everyday life, even when it's challenging. Another key aspect of Aristotle's philosophy is the idea that eudaimonia is not achieved in isolation. For Aristotle, flourishing is deeply connected to community and relationships. Virtue is not just about personal growth, it's about contributing to the well-being of others. This idea encourages us to think about how our personal reinvention can positively impact those around us. Are we living in a way that supports and uplifts others, or are we focused solely on our own advancement? In practical terms, this might mean re-evaluating your relationships and considering how you can bring more virtue into your interactions. Are you practicing kindness and patience with those around you? Are you contributing to your community in meaningful ways? By aligning your personal growth with the well-being of others, you create a sense of purpose that extends beyond yourself, fostering deeper fulfillment. Finally, Aristotle's concept of eudaimonia reminds us that personal reinvention is not a one-time event, but a lifelong process. Virtue is something we cultivate over time through consistent effort and reflection. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt, but these are all part of the journey. The key is to remain committed to living in alignment with your values, knowing that each step you take toward virtue brings you closer to a life of true flourishing. As you move forward into 2025, take time to reflect on your values and how they align with your goals. Ask yourself, what kind of person do I want to become? How can I live more fully in accordance with my values? By engaging in this process of self-reflection and aligning your actions with the virtues you admire, you can begin to cultivate eudaimonia, a life of meaning, fulfillment, and lasting growth. In this way, Aristotle's ancient wisdom offers a powerful guide for modern life. It teaches us that personal reinvention is not just about achieving external success, but about living with integrity, purpose, and virtue. By striving for eudaimonia, you create a life that is not only successful in the traditional sense, but deeply fulfilling and aligned with your highest self. In the quest for personal growth and reinvention, one of the most powerful yet often overlooked tools is the practice of daily reflection. This habit, championed by the Stoics, serves as a daily check-in to assess thoughts, actions, and overall progress on the journey to self-improvement. For Marcus Aurelius, the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, nightly reflection was an essential practice. In his meditations, he would review his day, questioning his decisions, examining his emotions, and considering how well he lived in alignment with his values. This habit, though ancient, is incredibly relevant today for anyone looking to reinvent themselves in a meaningful and sustainable way. Daily reflection is about much more than simply recounting what happened in your day. It's an opportunity to engage in a deeper level of self-awareness, to confront your thoughts and actions honestly, and to identify areas for improvement. The goal is not to indulge in guilt or self-criticism, but to assess your behavior with compassion and clarity. Reflection allows you to course correct, to ensure that you are living according to the principles and values that you aspire to embody. For Marcus Aurelius, this process of nightly reflection was a way to stay grounded amidst the pressures of ruling an empire. No matter how chaotic or demanding the day had been, he would always return to himself, questioning, did I act with virtue today? Was I patient, kind, and just? Did I let anger or fear control my actions? These are questions we can all ask ourselves in our own lives, whether we are leading a team, managing a household, or simply navigating the challenges of daily existence. The Stoic principle of self-assessment helps us stay aligned with our higher goals and values, preventing us from being swept away by external circumstances. To integrate this practice into your life, consider setting aside time each evening for reflection. It doesn't have to be a long, drawn-out process. Just a few minutes of quiet introspection can make a profound difference. The key is to be consistent. Whether you prefer to write in a journal or simply sit in silence, the act of consciously reviewing your day will help you maintain focus on your personal growth. One of the most effective ways to engage in daily reflection is through journaling. Writing down your thoughts and experiences forces you to articulate your emotions and decisions, making them more tangible and easier to analyze. Here are a few journaling prompts inspired by Stoic philosophy to help guide your reflections. 1. What did I do well today? Start with a positive note, recognizing where you acted in alignment with your values or handled a situation with wisdom or kindness. 2. Where did I fall short? Gently acknowledge any moments where you didn't live up to your expectations. This isn't about beating yourself up, but about identifying areas for growth. 3. What external factors affected my emotions today? Reflect on how much of your emotional state was influenced by things outside of your control. This can help you regain focus on what you can control, your thoughts and actions. 4. What can I do better tomorrow? End with a forward-looking perspective, identifying specific steps or changes in mindset that can help you improve in the coming days. These prompts encourage self-awareness and help you track your progress over time. As you reflect regularly, you'll begin to notice patterns in your behavior, both positive and negative, that can inform your approach to personal reinvention. This practice also strengthens your resilience as you learn to view setbacks as opportunities for learning rather than reasons for discouragement. Daily reflection also fosters humility. It reminds us that growth is a gradual process and that we are all works in progress. This humility is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy, which teaches us to accept our imperfections while continually striving to improve. By regularly checking in with ourselves, we can make sure that we are not veering off course and that our actions are in alignment with our long-term goals. Another benefit of daily reflection is that it enhances mindfulness. In our busy, fast-paced lives, it's easy to rush from one task to the next without pausing to think about how we are living. Reflection forces us to slow down and consider the bigger picture. It helps us stay present and conscious of our choices, preventing us from falling into mindless habits or reacting impulsively to situations. Over time, this mindfulness translates into greater emotional control, better decision-making, and a deeper sense of fulfillment. As you continue on your path of self-reinvention, consider adopting the Stoic habit of daily reflection. It may seem like a small, simple practice, but its impact on your growth can be profound. By taking the time each day to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and emotions, you create a feedback loop that keeps you moving forward on your journey with greater awareness and intentionality. In the Stoic tradition, one of the most profound and transformative practices is the contemplation of mortality, known as memento mori. This practice, which translates to "remember you must die," is not meant to instill fear, but to bring clarity and focus to how we live our lives. For the Stoics, reflecting on death was a way to prioritize what truly matters, to strip away the trivial concerns that often consume our attention, and to live with purpose and intention. Embracing mortality is one of the most powerful tools for personal reinvention, as it sharpens our focus on what is meaningful and helps us avoid the distractions of the unimportant. The concept of memento mori is simple. By regularly reminding ourselves that our time on this earth is finite, we gain a clearer perspective on how to live. In a world that often encourages us to avoid thinking about death, the Stoics saw it as essential to a life well lived. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reflected on the impermanence of life. He wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." For him, acknowledging death was not morbid, but liberating. It freed him to focus on what truly mattered, to act with integrity, and to avoid wasting time on trivial pursuits. In our modern world, where distractions abound and the pace of life is relentless, the practice of memento mori offers a way to regain control over our time and attention. It helps us cut through the noise and focus on the things that are truly important: our relationships, our personal growth, and our contributions to the world. By meditating on death, we are reminded that life is fleeting and that every moment is precious. One of the most powerful aspects of memento mori is that it shifts our perspective on what constitutes success. In a culture that often equates success with wealth, fame, or achievement, Contemplating death reminds us that these things are temporary. No matter how much we accumulate, we cannot take it with us. This realization encourages us to focus on the deeper, more lasting forms of fulfillment, living according to our values, cultivating meaningful relationships, and contributing to something greater than ourselves. To integrate memento mori into your daily life, consider incorporating simple meditative techniques that help you reflect on life's impermanence. One approach is to begin your day by reminding yourself that this could be your last. As you wake up, take a moment to reflect on the fact that life is uncertain and that today is a gift. This practice can help you approach the day with gratitude and purpose, focusing on what truly matters rather than getting caught up in trivial concerns. Another method is to use physical reminders of mortality. Some people carry a coin or a piece of jewelry engraved with the words memento mori as a daily reminder to live fully and authentically. Others place images or symbols of death in their home or workspace as a way to stay mindful of life's impermanence. These reminders can serve as touchstones throughout the day, helping you stay grounded and focused on your higher purpose. Meditating on death can also help you cultivate a sense of urgency in your personal growth. When we acknowledge that our time is limited, we are less likely to procrastinate or put off important changes. We are more motivated to take action, to pursue our goals, and to live in alignment with our values. Instead of waiting for the right moment to reinvent yourself, memento mori encourages you to start now, because the future is never guaranteed. In addition to bringing focus and clarity to your life, the practice of memento mori also fosters resilience. When we come to terms with the inevitability of death, we are less afraid of life's challenges. We realize that hardship, loss, and adversity are all part of the human experience, and that ultimately these difficulties pale in comparison to the finality of death. This perspective can help you approach challenges with greater calm and acceptance, knowing that they are temporary and that what matters most is how you respond to them. The practice of memento mori is not about dwelling on death, but about using the knowledge of our mortality to live more fully. It reminds us that life is short and that we have a finite amount of time to make a difference in the world, to love deeply, and to grow into the best versions of ourselves. By embracing mortality, we can prioritize what truly matters, let go of the trivial, and live with a sense of purpose and urgency. As you continue on your journey of self-reinvention, memento mori can serve as a powerful guide. It helps you stay focused on your goals, reminds you to cherish your relationships, and encourages you to live with integrity and intention. In a world where it's easy to get caught up in distractions and superficial concerns, the Stoic practice of contemplating death offers a way to ground yourself in what is truly important. Embrace it and let it sharpen your focus as you work toward becoming the person you want to be in 2025 and beyond. In the pursuit of a meaningful and fulfilling life, one of the most powerful frameworks for understanding purpose comes from Viktor Frankl, the renowned Austrian psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor. Frankl's philosophy, known as logotherapy, centers around the idea that human beings are driven by a search for meaning, even in the face of suffering and hardship. His profound insights on the role of purpose have been transformative for many, as they offer a way to find resilience, hope, and fulfillment even in the darkest of times. Frankl's experiences during the Holocaust, chronicled in his famous work, Man's Search for Meaning, revealed the importance of purpose in enduring and overcoming adversity. He observed that those who had a sense of purpose, something or someone to live for, were far more likely to survive the horrors of concentration camps than those who felt their lives lacked meaning. This insight led him to develop logotherapy, which suggests that the primary motivational force in life is not pleasure or power, but the discovery of meaning. Purposeful action, according to Frankl, is what gives life its deepest value. While many philosophies and modern approaches to self-help focus on achieving happiness or success, Frankl believed that the true path to fulfillment comes through finding a purpose that transcends the self. This doesn't mean that happiness and success are irrelevant, but that they are often byproducts of a life lived with purpose. For Frankl, the key is to find meaning in every step of life's journey, even when faced with suffering, loss, or uncertainty. In the context of self-reinvention for 2025, embracing purposeful action is essential. This is not merely about setting goals, but about grounding those goals in a deeper sense of meaning, your why. Why do you want to grow, change, or achieve? What higher purpose drives your decisions and actions? When your actions are aligned with a meaningful purpose, you are more likely to find fulfillment, even when the path is difficult or the results are uncertain. Finding your purpose begins with reflection. Ask yourself, what gives my life meaning? What values do I hold most dear? What contributions do I want to make to the world or to the people around me? Your answers to these questions will help clarify your purpose, which in turn will guide your actions and decisions throughout 2025 and beyond. Having a clear sense of purpose provides direction, focus, and resilience. It allows you to weather challenges because you know that you are working towards something meaningful, something that transcends the temporary setbacks you may encounter along the way. One of the key elements of logotherapy is the idea that meaning can be found in all circumstances, even in suffering. Frankl believed that while we cannot always control what happens to us, we can control how we respond to it, and in that response lies our ability to create meaning. This Stoic-like approach to suffering is liberating because it empowers us to take responsibility for our perspective, even in situations beyond our control. It also shifts the focus from external circumstances to internal growth and transformation. Rather than seeing challenges as obstacles, we can see them as opportunities to deepen our sense of purpose and to strengthen our character. To bring purpose into your daily life, start by defining your why for 2025. This is your deeper motivation for pursuing personal growth and transformation. It might be to become a better parent, to contribute to a cause you believe in, to develop a skill that allows you to serve others, or to live more authentically in alignment with your values. Once you've identified your why, write it down and revisit it regularly. Let it serve as a compass that guides your decisions and actions. This will help you stay focused and grounded, especially when faced with distractions or setbacks. Another powerful tool for living a purpose-driven life is to create meaningful, purpose-driven goals. These are not just goals that focus on external achievements, but goals that align with your values and contribute to your overall sense of fulfillment. For example, instead of setting a goal to simply earn more money, you might set a goal to use your skills to create something valuable that helps others. Instead of focusing solely on personal success, you might aim to make a positive impact in your community or in the lives of those you care about. Purpose-driven goals provide a sense of direction that keeps you motivated and inspired, even when the road ahead is challenging. Living with purpose also helps you cultivate resilience. When you have a clear sense of why you are doing something, it becomes easier to stay committed and to push through difficulties. Purpose provides a reason to keep going, even when the immediate rewards are not visible. It also helps you reframe failures and setbacks, seeing them not as indications of defeat, but as part of the journey toward achieving something meaningful. In summary, Viktor Frankl's philosophy of purposeful action offers a powerful guide for those seeking personal reinvention. By finding meaning in every step of your journey, By defining your why and by creating purpose-driven goals, you can live a life that is not only fulfilling but resilient in the face of challenges. In 2025, make purpose your guiding star and let it illuminate the path ahead. Taoism, an ancient Chinese philosophy, offers a profound and counterintuitive approach to personal growth and transformation. One of its central principles, Wu Wei, often translated as effortless action or non-doing, teaches that the most harmonious and effective way to live is by aligning oneself with the natural flow of life rather than resisting or forcing things to happen. This idea may seem at odds with the modern emphasis on hustle, ambition, and constant striving, but in reality, it offers a powerful way to achieve inner peace and outer success by embracing life's natural rhythms. At its core, Wu Wei is not about passivity or inaction, but about aligning your actions with the natural flow of the world. It's about finding the path of least resistance, where you work with the current of life rather than against it. In the same way that a river flows effortlessly toward the sea, Wu Wei encourages us to move through life with grace and ease, without unnecessary struggle. This approach allows for more efficient and effective action because it is rooted in an understanding of the natural order of things, rather than in forceful attempts to impose our will on the world. One of the most striking aspects of Wu Wei is its emphasis on acceptance. Taoist philosophy teaches that much of human suffering comes from our attempts to resist or control the uncontrollable. We struggle against the natural cycles of life, whether it's aging, change, or loss, and in doing so, we create unnecessary stress and frustration. Wu Wei invites us to let go of this resistance and to accept life as it is, with all its ups and downs. This doesn't mean giving up on growth or change, but rather approaching life with a sense of openness and flexibility, allowing things to unfold in their own time and way. To apply the principle of Wu Wei in your own life, begin by identifying areas where you are experiencing resistance. Are there situations where you are trying to force an outcome, where you feel like you are swimming upstream? This might be in your career, relationships, or personal development. Take a step back and ask yourself, is there a more natural, effortless way to approach this situation? Can I find a way to flow with life rather than pushing against it? One practical strategy for embracing Wu Wei is to cultivate patience. Many of us are accustomed to immediate results and become frustrated when things don't happen as quickly as we'd like. But nature has its own timing, and often growth and change take longer than we anticipate. By practicing patience and trusting the process, we can reduce our stress and allow things to unfold in their own time. This doesn't mean being passive, but rather being actively engaged in the process while remaining open to the timing and direction that life takes. Another key aspect of Wu Wei is the idea of balance. In Taoism, balance is seen as essential to harmony and well-being. When we are too focused on one aspect of life, whether it's work, achievement, or even self-improvement, we can become unbalanced and disconnected from the natural flow. Wu Wei encourages us to find balance by taking time for rest, relaxation, and reflection. This doesn't mean abandoning your goals or ambitions, but rather recognizing that rest and relaxation are essential parts of the process of growth. Just as a tree needs time to rest in winter before it can bloom in spring, we too need moments of stillness and restoration to fuel our personal transformation. Letting go of struggle is another important element of Wu Wei. Often we create unnecessary struggle in our lives by clinging to specific outcomes or trying to control things beyond our power. Wu Wei teaches us to release this need for control and to trust that life will unfold as it should. This doesn't mean being complacent, but rather being adaptable and open to change. When we let go of the need to control everything, we create space for new opportunities and solutions to emerge naturally. Incorporating Wu Wei into your life can also help you overcome burnout. Many of us push ourselves too hard, believing that constant effort and struggle are the only paths to success. But Wu Wei reminds us that sometimes the best action is no action. By stepping back, resting, and allowing things to unfold, we can avoid burnout and maintain a sense of balance and well-being. This approach allows us to recharge and return to our tasks with renewed energy and focus, rather than becoming depleted by constant striving. In conclusion, the Taoist principle of Wu Wei offers a powerful framework for achieving inner peace and personal growth through acceptance and alignment with life's natural flow. By letting go of resistance, embracing patience, and finding balance, you can move through life with greater ease and harmony. As you work toward your goals in 2025, remember that sometimes the most effective action is to simply flow with life, trusting that the natural rhythms of growth and change will guide you where you need to go. Courage has long been considered one of the central virtues in Stoic philosophy, and for good reason. In a world filled with uncertainties, challenges, and potential dangers, having the courage to face life head-on is essential. The Stoics believed that courage is not merely about the absence of fear, but rather the ability to act despite it. It is about seeing the unknown, the difficult, and even the terrifying, and moving forward with resolve. This idea resonates deeply with the modern world, where we often face immense pressure, stress, and uncertainty, making courage a vital component in personal transformation and growth. The Stoic view of courage is grounded in the understanding that life will always present us with challenges, some expected and some unforeseen. Whether it's a personal struggle, a professional challenge, or an unexpected turn of events, courage allows us to stand firm in the face of these obstacles without being paralyzed by fear. According to Stoicism, courage isn't just necessary for extraordinary circumstances, it's a daily practice. It's about having the strength to act according to our values, even when it's uncomfortable or risky. One of the key teachings from the Stoic philosopher Seneca is that fear is often worse than the thing we fear. In his letters, he reminds us that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. This insight is a reminder that many of our fears are projections of the mind, often blown out of proportion by our anxieties. Courage, then, involves seeing fear for what it truly is, an emotion that can be managed rather than an insurmountable force. It's about learning to separate irrational fears from legitimate concerns and taking action based on reason, not fear. Building courage in daily life starts with deliberate practice. The Stoics didn't view courage as something that only heroes or soldiers possessed. They saw it as a quality that anyone could cultivate through small, consistent acts of bravery. To cultivate courage, you must be willing to step into uncomfortable situations, even if only in small ways. This could mean speaking up in a meeting, confronting a difficult truth about yourself, or making a decision that involves risk. Each time you face a fear, no matter how minor, you strengthen your ability to act with courage in more significant situations. One practical way to begin developing courage is through exposure to discomfort. The Stoics believed that we become desensitized to fear by repeatedly facing what makes us uncomfortable. Start by identifying areas of your life where fear is holding you back. Perhaps it's a fear of failure, rejection, or uncertainty. Once you've pinpointed these fears, challenge yourself to take small steps toward facing them. If you're afraid of public speaking, start by speaking up in a small group. If you're afraid of failure, take on a project that pushes you out of your comfort zone, knowing that failure is a possibility, but not a catastrophe. Another Stoic exercise for building courage is the practice of negative visualization, or premeditatio malorum. This involves mentally rehearsing worst-case scenarios to prepare yourself emotionally for potential outcomes. By imagining what could go wrong, you desensitize yourself to fear because you've already confronted the possibility in your mind. When you mentally prepare for the worst, you often find that the reality is far less daunting than your imagination. This exercise helps reduce anxiety and empowers you to take bold action, knowing that even if things don't go as planned, you are ready to face the consequences with courage and resilience. In addition to these practices, the Stoics emphasized the importance of keeping perspective. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reflected on the insignificance of many of our fears in the grand scheme of things. He urged us to remember that life is fleeting and that many of the things we fear today will seem trivial in the future. By zooming out and taking a broader view, we can gain the courage to act without being consumed by immediate fears. This perspective helps us see that courage is not just about overcoming specific fears, but about living a life of integrity and purpose, even in the face of uncertainty. Ultimately, courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. By facing your fears deliberately and consistently, you build the mental and emotional strength to handle life's challenges with grace and resolve. This courage becomes a foundation for all other virtues, enabling you to live in alignment with your values and to pursue personal transformation with unwavering determination. In Stoic philosophy, one of the most important lessons is that while you cannot control external events, you have full control over your inner reactions. This principle is at the heart of emotional mastery, a key element in the Stoic approach to living a fulfilling life. The Stoics recognized that life is filled with events that can trigger emotional responses, whether it's anger, sadness, frustration, or fear. However, they believed that we have the power to choose how we respond to these emotions, and that mastery over our reactions is essential for achieving inner peace and resilience. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This statement encapsulates the essence of emotional control. The events themselves, whether a traffic jam, a critical comment from a colleague, or a personal setback, are neutral. It's our interpretation of those events and the emotional responses we attach to them that determine how we experience them. Stoicism teaches that we have the ability to change our perspective and, by extension, our emotional state. One of the most powerful tools for mastering your emotions is mindfulness. By cultivating awareness of your thoughts and feelings in the moment, you create a space between the event and your reaction. In this space, you have the opportunity to choose how to respond, rather than being swept away by emotional impulses. This practice of mindfulness aligns with the Stoic practice of self-reflection and observation. When you become aware of your emotional triggers, you can begin to shift your response, moving from reactivity to intentional action. A practical technique for gaining control over your emotions is to practice cognitive distancing, a key element in Stoic thought. This involves taking a step back and viewing the situation from a more objective perspective. When something upsets you, ask yourself, is this event truly as catastrophic as it feels in the moment? Will it matter a year from now or even a week from now? This practice helps you to see things more clearly without the cloud of intense emotion and allows you to respond in a more rational and measured way. Another Stoic technique for emotional mastery is the use of mantras or guiding principles to anchor your thoughts in moments of stress. For example, when faced with a situation that provokes anger or frustration, you might remind yourself of the Stoic principle that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Repeating this to yourself can help ground you in the present and remind you that your emotional response is not an inevitable reaction, but a choice you can control. Over time, these mantras become internalized and serve as mental touchstones that guide your responses. In moments of intense emotion, physical techniques can also help bring you back to a state of balance. The Stoics understood that the mind and body are interconnected, and that calming the body can help soothe the mind. Breathing exercises are particularly effective for this purpose. When you feel overwhelmed by emotion, try focusing on your breath. Take slow, deep breaths, inhaling for a count of 4, holding for 4, and exhaling for 4. This simple technique engages the parasympathetic nervous system, helping to calm the body and, by extension, the mind. Meditation is another powerful practice for developing emotional control. Stoic meditation, often referred to as contemplation or reflection, involves taking time each day to reflect on your thoughts, actions, and emotional responses. By regularly engaging in this practice, you become more attuned to your emotional patterns and can begin to intervene earlier when unhelpful emotions arise. Over time, meditation helps you cultivate a sense of inner calm and resilience, allowing you to face life's challenges without being thrown off balance by emotional turbulence. It's important to remember that emotional mastery is not about suppressing or denying your feelings. The Stoics did not advocate for emotionless living. Rather, they encouraged developing the ability to observe emotions without being controlled by them. Emotional control is about responding to emotions in a way that aligns with your values and serves your long-term well-being. It's about being the master of your emotions rather than their slave. Incorporating these Stoic techniques into your daily life can lead to a profound shift in how you experience the world. Instead of reacting impulsively to every emotional trigger, you begin to respond with intention and clarity. This doesn't mean that you won't feel emotions. Stoics were human after all. But it means that you won't be ruled by them. By mastering your emotional responses, you gain greater control over your life and open the door to deeper peace, fulfillment, and resilience. As you continue your journey towards self-reinvention in 2025, emotional control will be one of the most valuable skills you can develop. By learning to manage your reactions, you create a foundation of inner stability that allows you to navigate life's ups and downs with grace and strength. Your journey towards self-reinvention in 2025 is not only shaped by the actions you take, but also by how you perceive the world around you. The Stoics understood this well, emphasizing that it's not external events that disturb us, but rather how we interpret those events. This concept forms the foundation of cognitive reframing, a practice that enables us to take control of our perceptions and ultimately our emotional and mental well-being. The power to rewrite your narrative is the power to transform how you experience life, particularly in the face of challenges. Cognitive reframing is a technique that allows you to shift the lens through which you view a situation. Imagine you're facing a setback at work. Maybe a project didn't go as planned, or you didn't get the recognition you were hoping for. Your initial reaction might be to feel defeated or frustrated, interpreting the situation as a failure. However, cognitive reframing encourages you to look at that same event from a different perspective. Instead of seeing it as a failure, you could view it as a learning experience, a valuable lesson that will help you improve in the future. This shift in perception transforms a potentially negative experience into a constructive one. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus was a master of reframing. He famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea lies at the heart of cognitive reframing. You cannot control the external events in your life. Things will go wrong, people will disappoint you, and challenges will arise. But what you can control is how you interpret those events, and in turn, how you respond. This practice empowers you to become the author of your own story. rather than a passive observer of your circumstances. Rewriting your narrative begins with awareness. The next time you find yourself in a situation that triggers a negative emotional response, pause for a moment. Take a step back and examine your thoughts. Are you interpreting the situation in a way that disempowers you? Are you focusing solely on the negative aspects? If so, challenge those interpretations. Ask yourself, is there another way to view this situation? Often, you'll find that there are multiple ways to interpret the same event, and choosing an empowering narrative can dramatically alter your emotional state. One exercise to practice cognitive reframing is to keep a journal of your daily experiences, particularly those that provoke strong emotional reactions. At the end of each day, take a few moments to reflect on the events that stood out to you. Write down your initial interpretation of the event, how you felt, and what you thought about the situation. Then, challenge yourself to find an alternative interpretation. How could this experience be viewed as an opportunity for growth? What lessons can you extract from it? Over time, this practice trains your mind to automatically seek out more empowering narratives, even in difficult situations. Cognitive reframing is not about ignoring reality or pretending that everything is always positive. It's about recognizing that you have a choice in how you interpret events. Two people can experience the same situation, but walk away with entirely different perspectives based on how they choose to frame it. By practicing cognitive reframing, you develop the mental flexibility to adapt to life's challenges and to see obstacles as opportunities for growth and learning. In Stoic philosophy, this practice is often linked to the concept of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. By anticipating potential challenges and mentally preparing for them, the Stoics were able to reframe their experiences even before they happened. They would imagine the worst-case scenario, and in doing so, they stripped those scenarios of their emotional power. When the actual event occurred, they were better equipped to handle it with calmness and resilience, having already reframed it in their minds. As you continue on your path of self-reinvention, cognitive reframing will become a vital tool in shaping your experience of the world. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, but how you choose to interpret those events is entirely within your control. By rewriting your narrative, you can transform even the most challenging circumstances into opportunities for growth, learning, and self-discovery. As you rewrite your narrative and transform your perception of challenges, another critical aspect of your journey toward reinvention involves simplifying your life. Both Stoicism and Buddhism advocate for the wisdom of minimalism, living simply to gain greater clarity and peace of mind. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded with distractions, possessions, and obligations that can weigh us down and pull us away from what truly matters. To live a more meaningful and intentional life, we must learn to strip away the unnecessary and focus on the essential. The Stoics believed that external possessions and material wealth were not the key to happiness. In fact, they often warned against becoming attached to material things, as such attachments could lead to anxiety, stress, and a sense of dissatisfaction. Seneca, one of the most well-known Stoic philosophers, lived a life of relative wealth, but he often reminded himself and others that true happiness comes from within, not from external possessions. He wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." This wisdom is echoed in modern minimalism, which teaches us that having more doesn't necessarily lead to greater fulfillment. Buddhist philosophy, particularly the concept of the middle way, also emphasizes simplicity. The Buddha taught that enlightenment is found not in extreme indulgence or extreme asceticism, but in balance. By avoiding the extremes of overconsumption and deprivation, we create space for inner peace and clarity. This principle applies not only to our physical possessions, but also to our thoughts, emotions, and commitments. When we live simply, we reduce the mental clutter that often clouds our judgment and prevents us from living in alignment with our true values. Simplifying your life begins with an honest assessment of your current state. What are the physical, mental, and emotional clutter that are weighing you down? Take a look at your environment, your home, your workspace, your schedule. Are there unnecessary possessions, distractions, or obligations that are taking up space without adding value? Simplifying your environment can have a profound impact on your mental clarity and emotional well-being. Start by decluttering one area of your life, whether it's a room in your house, your digital files, or your daily schedule. As you let go of the unnecessary, you create space for the things that truly matter. In addition to decluttering your physical environment, it's essential to simplify your thoughts and commitments. Our minds are often cluttered with worries, to-do lists, and distractions that prevent us from being fully present in the moment. One practical way to simplify your thoughts is through mindfulness meditation. By taking just a few minutes each day to focus on your breath and quiet your mind, you can reduce mental noise and gain greater clarity. This practice helps you stay grounded and focused on the present, rather than being overwhelmed by the chaos of daily life. Simplifying your commitments is another important step toward living a more intentional life. In our fast-paced world, it's easy to become overcommitted, filling our schedules with obligations that leave little room for reflection or personal growth. Take a close look at your calendar and ask yourself, are all of these commitments aligned with my values and goals? If not, consider letting go of the ones that don't serve your highest purpose. Saying no to unnecessary obligations creates more space for the things that truly matter, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing a passion, or simply taking time for self-care. Living simply also involves cultivating a sense of contentment with what you have. In a consumer-driven society, we are constantly bombarded with messages that tell us we need more possessions, more achievements, more experiences to be happy. But the truth is, happiness is not found in acquiring more. It's found in appreciating what we already have. Practice gratitude daily by reflecting on the things you are thankful for. This simple habit shifts your focus away from what you lack and toward what you already possess, fostering a sense of peace and fulfillment. By embracing the wisdom of minimalism, you free yourself from the distractions and clutter that can prevent you from living a meaningful and intentional life. Simplifying your environment, thoughts, and commitments creates space for personal growth, clarity, and peace of mind. As you continue your journey of self-reinvention, remember that less is often more. By focusing on what truly matters, you can live a life that is aligned with your values and filled with purpose. Human connection, in its most profound form, is a cornerstone of personal growth and self-reinvention. Throughout history, philosophers like Aristotle and the Stoics have recognized the essential role that relationships play in shaping our character, guiding our decisions, and nurturing our wisdom. For Aristotle, friendship was more than just a social necessity. It was one of the highest forms of virtue, a relationship built on mutual respect, shared values, and a commitment to each other's moral improvement. The Stoics, similarly, saw virtuous friendships as a means to strengthen one's journey toward wisdom and personal growth, reinforcing the idea that human beings are inherently social creatures who thrive in meaningful connection with others. Aristotle famously distinguished between three types of friendships: friendships of utility, friendships of pleasure, and friendships of virtue. The first two categories, based on mutual benefit or shared enjoyment, are transient and often dependent on external circumstances. Friendships of virtue, however, are deeper and longer-lasting, as they are built on mutual admiration for each other's character and a shared commitment to living virtuously. Such relationships are not driven by what one can get from the other, but rather by a genuine desire to support each other's growth and flourishing. In friendships of virtue, the relationship becomes a space where both individuals can challenge each other to become better versions of themselves. In the context of self-reinvention, cultivating virtuous relationships is vital. These connections provide a support system that encourages growth, reflection, and wisdom. When surrounded by people who share your commitment to living according to higher values, you are more likely to stay focused on your path of transformation. Moreover, these friendships allow for honest feedback. Your friends can hold up a mirror to your actions and attitudes, helping you see yourself more clearly and adjust your course when necessary. To cultivate such relationships, empathy and understanding must be at the forefront of your interactions. Empathy involves stepping into the shoes of another person, seeing the world from their perspective, and responding with compassion and care. By practicing empathy, you deepen your connection with others, fostering an environment where both parties feel heard, valued, and supported. Understanding, meanwhile, involves a willingness to listen without judgment, to engage in conversations that explore not just surface-level concerns, but the deeper emotions and values that drive behavior. When you approach relationships with empathy and understanding, you create space for authentic connection to flourish. One exercise to build deeper connections with others is to practice active listening. In your next conversation, make a conscious effort to listen without interrupting or thinking about your response. Instead, focus entirely on what the other person is saying, not just the words, but the emotions behind them. Reflect on their perspective and ask questions that encourage them to share more. This practice not only strengthens your empathy, but also shows the other person that you genuinely care about their thoughts and feelings. Over time, this deepens the bond between you, creating a relationship rooted in trust and understanding. Another way to foster virtuous relationships is to engage in shared activities that promote growth. Whether it's a book club where you discuss philosophical ideas, a fitness group that challenges each other to push physical limits, or simply a friendship where you hold each other accountable for personal goals, these activities provide a structure for mutual support and development. The key is to surround yourself with individuals who inspire you to be your best self, people who challenge you intellectually, morally, and emotionally. It's also essential to evaluate the quality of your current relationships. Are there connections in your life that drain your energy or pull you away from your values? Are you investing time in friendships that are based solely on convenience or shared pleasure rather than mutual growth? While it's important to have light-hearted friendships, it's equally important to prioritize relationships that align with your deeper values and goals. Sometimes this means letting go of friendships that no longer serve your growth, freeing up space for connections that support your reinvention. In Stoic philosophy, relationships are not only about companionship, but also about practicing virtue. The Stoics believed that every interaction with others is an opportunity to practice patience, kindness, humility, and wisdom. Through the lens of Stoicism, every relationship, whether it's with a close friend or a stranger, offers a chance to cultivate your moral character. By approaching relationships with this mindset, you turn daily interactions into moments of growth and learning, constantly refining your ability to connect with others in a meaningful and virtuous way. As you continue to build strong, virtuous relationships, you'll notice that these connections not only enhance your personal growth, but also provide a sense of purpose and fulfillment. Human beings are wired for connection, and when those connections are rooted in shared values and mutual support, they become a powerful catalyst for self-reinvention. While human connection forms the foundation for emotional and moral support, mental toughness is the inner fortitude that allows you to endure life's difficulties with calmness and resilience. In Stoic philosophy, mental toughness is not about suppressing emotions or pretending that hardships don't exist. Rather, it's about cultivating the strength to face challenges with a clear mind and a steady heart. This quality, often referred to as fortitude, is essential for anyone seeking to recreate themselves and live according to higher principles. The Stoics understood that life is filled with obstacles, setbacks, and suffering. Yet they believed that these challenges are not inherently negative. Instead, they are opportunities to test and strengthen one's character. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, famously wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This Stoic principle teaches that the obstacles you face are not roadblocks, but stepping stones toward growth. Mental toughness, therefore, is the ability to see challenges as opportunities for improvement, rather than threats to your well-being. One of the most powerful tools for building mental toughness is the practice of voluntary discomfort, a Stoic exercise designed to train the mind to endure hardship. By deliberately exposing yourself to discomfort in small ways, such as taking cold showers, fasting for a period of time, or abstaining from certain luxuries, you strengthen your capacity to endure difficulties with grace. These exercises are not about self-punishment. Rather, they are about cultivating resilience and preparing yourself to face real challenges with a calm and steady mind. Another Stoic exercise for building mental resilience is the practice of negative visualization. This involves imagining worst-case scenarios in your mind, not to dwell on them, but to prepare yourself emotionally for whatever may come. By mentally rehearsing how you would handle adversity, whether it's the loss of a job, a loved one, or a personal failure, you desensitize yourself to fear and anxiety. This practice helps you build emotional armor, allowing you to face life's uncertainties with a sense of calm and acceptance. In addition to these Stoic exercises, self-reflection plays a crucial role in building mental toughness. At the end of each day, take a few moments to reflect on how you responded to challenges. Did you remain calm and composed, or did you allow emotions to cloud your judgment? By regularly assessing your reactions, you gain insight into your mental strengths and weaknesses, enabling you to make adjustments and improve over time. One of the key principles of mental toughness is the understanding that while you cannot control external events, you can always control your response. This is the essence of Stoic thought, the ability to maintain inner peace regardless of what happens around you. When faced with adversity, remind yourself that your power lies not in changing the external situation, but in choosing how you will react. Will you respond with anger, frustration, or despair? Or will you respond with courage, patience, and wisdom? The choice is always yours. As you cultivate mental toughness, you'll notice that challenges no longer feel overwhelming. Instead, they become opportunities to practice resilience, to grow stronger, and to deepen your self-mastery. By training your mind to stay calm in the face of adversity, you build an unshakable foundation for self-reinvention, enabling you to navigate life's difficulties with grace and wisdom. In both human connection and mental toughness, the principles of Stoic philosophy provide powerful tools for personal growth and transformation. By cultivating virtuous relationships and developing mental resilience, you equip yourself to face the challenges of life with strength, wisdom, and grace, forging a path of self-reinvention that is grounded in timeless wisdom. In the journey of self-reinvention, mental clarity plays a crucial role. Our minds, much like our physical spaces, can become cluttered with unnecessary thoughts, anxieties, and distractions. Just as minimalism in our external environment fosters peace and focus, a minimalist approach to thinking can create the mental space needed for deeper reflection, decision-making, and growth. The Stoics, particularly figures like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of decluttering the mind to maintain clarity and focus on what truly matters. One of the key elements of Stoic practice is the ability to identify and eliminate unnecessary thoughts, those that drain our energy without serving a constructive purpose. In our modern world, the constant influx of information, opinions, and stimuli can overwhelm the mind, leading to stress, anxiety, and indecision. By adopting a minimalist approach to thought, we can free ourselves from this mental clutter and direct our cognitive resources toward meaningful goals and pursuits. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, and this principle extends to the management of our thoughts. Many of the anxieties and worries that occupy our minds are related to things outside our influence, events in the future, the opinions of others, or outcomes we cannot predict. By letting go of these distractions, we can create mental space for thoughts that align with our values and intentions. This is not about ignoring real concerns, but about consciously choosing where to direct our mental energy. One practical strategy for decluttering the mind is to begin with the Stoic exercise of journaling. Marcus Aurelius himself was known to practice daily reflection, using his journal as a tool to clear his thoughts and refocus on what mattered. Start by writing down the worries, fears, and distractions that fill your mind. As you write, ask yourself, is this within my control? Can I do something about this right now? If the answer is no, acknowledge the thought and release it. If the answer is yes, make a plan of action and move on. This practice not only helps to organize your thoughts, but also brings awareness to the mental clutter that often goes unnoticed. Meditation is another powerful tool for decluttering the mind. Stoic meditation, which focuses on mindfulness and presence, allows you to observe your thoughts without becoming attached to them. Begin by finding a quiet space where you can sit comfortably. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, bringing your awareness to the present moment. As thoughts arise, instead of engaging with them, simply observe them. Imagine each thought as a cloud passing by. Acknowledge it, but don't hold on to it. Over time, this practice helps you become more aware of unnecessary mental chatter and teaches you how to let go of thoughts that do not serve your well-being. In addition to meditation and journaling, another practical strategy for decluttering your mind is to simplify your decision-making process. Decision fatigue, the mental exhaustion that comes from making too many choices, is a common source of cognitive clutter. To counteract this, develop routines and habits that reduce the number of decisions you need to make each day. For example, you might simplify your wardrobe, your meal planning, or your work schedule so that your mental energy is reserved for more important decisions. This approach mirrors the Stoic belief in focusing only on what is necessary and discarding the superfluous. As you practice minimalism in thought, you'll begin to notice a shift in your mental clarity and focus. By clearing away the noise, you create space for the thoughts that truly matter, those that align with your values, your goals, and your sense of purpose. This mental clarity allows you to approach life's challenges with a calm, centered mind, and it empowers you to make decisions that reflect your deepest intentions. In parallel with mental minimalism, the pursuit of wisdom becomes a lifelong endeavor that fuels personal growth. Socratic wisdom, which is deeply intertwined with Stoic philosophy, emphasizes the importance of recognizing the limits of our knowledge. Socrates famously declared that the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing, a statement that invites us to remain humble, curious, and open to learning throughout our lives. For the Stoics, wisdom is not a destination, but a journey, a continuous process of learning, self-improvement, and the pursuit of deeper understanding. The pursuit of wisdom requires a mindset of constant evolution. To reinvent yourself like a Stoic, you must embrace the idea that there is always more to learn, more to understand, and more ways to grow. This process of lifelong learning is not limited to formal education or academic study. It encompasses all areas of life, from personal relationships to professional development to spiritual growth. Wisdom comes from experience, reflection, and a willingness to challenge your own assumptions. One of the key practices for pursuing wisdom is to cultivate a habit of questioning. Just as Socrates questioned the beliefs and assumptions of those around him, you must regularly question your own thoughts, actions, and motivations. Why do I believe what I believe? Is this assumption based on reason or on habit? What can I learn from this situation? By asking these questions, you develop a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you, and you avoid falling into the trap of complacency. Incorporating wisdom-seeking habits into your daily routine can take many forms. Reading, for example, is one of the most accessible ways to expand your knowledge and deepen your understanding of different perspectives. Choose books that challenge your thinking, introduce you to new ideas, or provide insights into areas you wish to grow. As you read, take time to reflect on the lessons and how they apply to your life. Are there principles you can incorporate into your daily decisions? Are there ideas that resonate with your personal values? Another way to pursue wisdom is through conversation and dialogue. Engage with others who share your curiosity for learning and seek out those who challenge your thinking. In philosophical discussions, debates, or even casual conversations, you open yourself to new ways of seeing the world. Importantly, approach these conversations with humility and openness. Remember that wisdom comes not from asserting your own knowledge, but from listening and learning from others. In addition to external sources of learning, self-reflection is a critical component of wisdom. Take time each day to reflect on your actions, decisions, and thoughts. What did you learn from today's experiences? How did you handle challenges? What can you do differently tomorrow? This practice of daily reflection, as championed by Marcus Aurelius, helps you integrate the lessons of the day and apply them to your ongoing personal growth. Finally, it's important to recognize that the pursuit of wisdom is not about perfection. The Stoics understood that we are all fallible and that the path to wisdom is one of continuous improvement, not flawless execution. Be patient with yourself as you learn and grow, and embrace the setbacks and mistakes as valuable learning opportunities. Wisdom comes not from avoiding failure, but from reflecting on it and using it to guide your future actions. As you cultivate mental minimalism and pursue wisdom, you create a foundation for a life of clarity, focus, and continuous growth. These practices empower you to navigate the complexities of life with a calm, centered mind, and they guide you toward a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. In the process, you not only reinvent yourself, but also align your actions, thoughts, and goals with the timeless wisdom of the Stoics and other great philosophical traditions. Finding joy in the present is a core Stoic principle, one that underscores the belief that true contentment can only be found in the here and now. The Stoics understood that life is unpredictable, that circumstances change, and that placing our happiness in external events is a surefire way to experience disappointment and frustration. Instead, they advocated for the appreciation of the present moment, an appreciation that stems from recognizing the fleeting nature of life, the impermanence of circumstances, and the sufficiency of what we already possess. In modern life, we are often bombarded with messages that tell us we need more to be happy. more success, more possessions, more recognition. But the Stoic perspective offers a radically different approach. It invites us to step back from this relentless pursuit and consider what we already have. The Stoic idea of contentment is not about complacency. It's about cultivating gratitude for the present moment and recognizing that, no matter the external conditions, there is always something to be grateful for. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, frequently reminds himself to live fully in the present, noting that the present moment is all we ever truly have. Practicing gratitude is a powerful way to embrace this Stoic ideal. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we already possess, and in doing so, it fosters a deep sense of contentment. The simple act of reflecting on the blessings in your life, whether it's your health, your relationships, or even the fact that you are alive, can dramatically shift your perspective. Take a moment each day to consider what you are grateful for, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. This daily reflection helps anchor you in the present and diminishes the desire for more, which often drives discontentment. Stoic contentment is also closely tied to the concept of sufficiency, the belief that what you have is enough. In a world that constantly encourages us to strive for more, the idea that enough is enough can feel counterintuitive, even radical. But the Stoics believed that true happiness does not come from acquiring more, but from wanting less. Seneca wrote extensively on this, arguing that the person who is content with what they have is truly rich, while the person who is always chasing more is perpetually poor. This doesn't mean that you should never strive for improvement, but it does mean that your sense of fulfillment should not be contingent on reaching some future goal. One practical exercise to cultivate contentment is to practice voluntary discomfort, a Stoic technique in which you intentionally deprive yourself of something you enjoy or find comforting. This exercise helps you realize that you don't need as much as you think to be happy. For example, you might spend a day without your phone, eat a simple meal, or sleep without your usual comforts. The purpose is not to punish yourself, but to remind yourself that your happiness is not tied to external things. By voluntarily experiencing discomfort, you learn to appreciate the things you have more fully and to detach from the constant desire for more. Another powerful way to practice contentment is through mindful awareness. Take time each day to fully engage with your surroundings. Notice the beauty of a sunset, the warmth of a cup of coffee, or the sound of a loved one's laughter. These small moments of mindfulness help ground you in the present and remind you that joy is available to you right now, in this moment. The more you practice being present, the more you will realize that contentment is not something you need to chase. It's something you can experience here and now by simply being present. As you cultivate this Stoic sense of contentment, you will begin to realize that much of the stress and anxiety in your life comes from wanting things to be different from how they are. By practicing gratitude, sufficiency, and mindfulness, you can shift your focus from what's missing to what's already here. And in doing so, you can experience a deeper sense of peace and joy, no matter what external circumstances you may face. In the same way that cultivating contentment helps protect your inner peace, learning the art of saying no is essential to protecting your time, energy, and well-being. In a world that constantly demands more of us, the ability to set boundaries is not just a skill, it's a form of self-preservation. The Stoics, along with modern philosophies of self-care and personal growth, emphasize the importance of guarding your energy and saying no to things that do not serve your higher purpose. Saying no is not about being selfish or rejecting opportunities. It's about being intentional with your time and energy. In Stoic thought, your time is one of your most valuable resources, and once it's spent, you can never get it back. Seneca's famous essay, On the Shortness of Life, reminds us that life is short and that we often waste it on things that don't truly matter. The art of saying no is about recognizing that your time and energy are finite, and that in order to live a fulfilling and purposeful life, you must be selective about where and how you invest them. Many people struggle with saying no because they fear disappointing others or missing out on opportunities. But when you say yes to everything, you dilute your energy and spread yourself too thin. Instead of focusing on the things that truly matter to you, your personal growth, your relationships, your well-being, you end up overwhelmed, stressed, and unable to give your best to anything. Learning to say no is about prioritizing your well-being without guilt, understanding that by protecting your time and energy, you are better able to show up fully for the things that truly matter. One of the first steps in mastering the art of saying no is to clarify your values and priorities. What matters most to you? What are your goals for 2025? Once you have a clear sense of your priorities, it becomes easier to evaluate requests and opportunities. If something does not align with your values or contribute to your goals, it's a candidate for a no. Remember, every time you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else, often to yourself, your needs, or your personal growth. Practicing saying no requires both self-awareness and assertiveness. It's important to recognize when you are feeling stretched too thin or when a request doesn't align with your priorities. Once you recognize this, you can respond with clarity and kindness. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or abrupt. It can be done with grace and respect. For example, instead of saying, "I can't," try saying, "I'm focusing on other priorities right now," or "I don't have the bandwidth to take this on at the moment." These responses are respectful of both your time and the other person's needs. One exercise to practice setting boundaries is to start small. Begin by identifying one or two areas in your life where you feel overcommitted or stretched too thin. It might be work, social engagements, or even family obligations. Then, choose one thing you can say no to in each of these areas. Practice delivering your no with clarity and confidence, and notice how it feels. Over time, you'll build the muscle of saying no and find that it becomes easier and more natural. Another powerful exercise is to schedule time for yourself, time that is non-negotiable and protected from external demands. This could be time for reflection, rest, or personal projects. By setting aside dedicated time for yourself, you create a buffer that helps you avoid burnout and ensures that you have the energy to pursue the things that truly matter to you. Ultimately, learning the art of saying no is about reclaiming your time, energy, and focus. It's about recognizing that you have the right and the responsibility to protect your well-being. By practicing the Stoic principles of intentionality and clarity, you can create boundaries that allow you to live with greater purpose and fulfillment. Recreating yourself is not a one-time event, but a continuous process of growth, reflection, and action. The journey you've embarked on by exploring these 25 steps is one that requires dedication, patience, and an unwavering commitment to becoming the best version of yourself. The insights gathered from Stoic philosophy and other philosophical schools are not meant to be lofty ideals removed from reality. They are practical, grounded tools to help you navigate modern life with clarity, resilience, and purpose. Throughout these chapters, we've woven together timeless wisdom from Stoicism, existentialism, Buddhism, Taoism, and more, showing how ancient philosophies offer transformative approaches to personal reinvention. From the foundational Stoic principles of virtue, wisdom, and resilience to the existential call to create your essence through deliberate actions, each philosophy brings something valuable to the table. These aren't abstract theories, but practical frameworks you can apply directly to your life in 2025 and beyond. If there's one thing to take away from this journey, it's the idea that transformation is a daily practice. It's not about making one grand sweeping change, but about taking consistent small steps every day. Whether it's practicing gratitude, facing adversity with courage, setting boundaries to protect your energy, or simply focusing on what you can control, these steps form the foundation of a life that is not only fulfilling, but also deeply resilient to the challenges that come your way. The Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of daily reflection. As you move through life, take time each day to assess your actions, your thoughts, and your progress. This isn't about judging yourself harshly, but about cultivating self-awareness. Where are you excelling? Where can you improve? What small adjustments can you make tomorrow to move closer to your goals? By incorporating this daily habit, you not only keep yourself on the path of growth, but also reinforce the idea that personal reinvention is a continuous, evolving process. One of the most powerful ideas we've discussed is the Stoic practice of focusing on what you can control. This is where real power lies, not in trying to bend the world to your will, but in mastering your own mind, your own actions, and your own responses. Epictetus reminded us that the only things truly within our control are our thoughts, decisions, and behaviors. Everything else, external events, the actions of others, the outcomes of our efforts, are beyond our control. By internalizing this principle, you free yourself from the anxiety of trying to control the uncontrollable and focus your energy where it can make the most impact. In embracing the challenges of life, the Stoic concept of amor fati, loving your fate, teaches us to see every experience, every hardship, every triumph, and every setback as a necessary part of our journey. Nietzsche's reinterpretation of this idea encourages us not only to accept our fate, but to embrace it fully, to love it as part of the unique story that makes up our lives. In 2025, as you face inevitable challenges and uncertainties, remind yourself that these experiences are shaping you into a stronger, wiser, and more resilient person. Equally important is the existential perspective that we are not born with a predetermined essence. As Sartre famously stated, existence precedes essence. You are not defined by your past or by the labels others place on you. You have the power to shape your own identity through your choices, actions, and beliefs. This is a liberating idea, but also a great responsibility. In 2025, commit to consciously creating the person you want to be, understanding that every decision you make contributes to your evolving self. While self-reinvention is deeply personal, it doesn't happen in isolation. Aristotle and the Stoics emphasized the importance of virtuous relationships and meaningful human connections. As you work on yourself, also invest in the people around you. Surround yourself with those who inspire you, challenge you, and support your growth. Build relationships based on mutual respect, empathy, and understanding, knowing that these connections are essential to a fulfilling life. As you navigate this journey, remember the importance of balance, what the Buddhists call the middle way. Avoid the extremes of overindulgence or deprivation, and instead seek harmony in all areas of your life. This balance applies not only to material possessions, but also to your mental and emotional states. The practice of minimalism, both in your environment and in your thoughts, can help you stay focused on what truly matters, reducing distractions and freeing up energy for the things that align with your values. Ultimately, the goal of these 25 steps is to create a roadmap for living a life of purpose, wisdom, and peace. The philosophies we've explored provide tools to help you navigate the complexities of modern life while staying grounded in timeless truths. In a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable, these ancient insights offer clarity and guidance. As you move forward into 2025, take daily action toward your transformation. It's easy to get caught up in the busyness of life, but real growth happens in the small, consistent steps you take each day. Whether it's practicing self-discipline, reflecting on your progress, or cultivating gratitude for the present moment, these actions accumulate over time, leading to profound and lasting change. And remember, self-reinvention is not about striving for perfection. It's about embracing the process of becoming, of continuously evolving, learning, and growing. You will make mistakes. You will face setbacks. But each of these moments is an opportunity to learn more about yourself, to strengthen your character, and to refine your path. In closing, the journey of self-reinvention is one of the most rewarding pursuits you can undertake. It requires courage, commitment, and a willingness to embrace discomfort and uncertainty. But by applying the wisdom of Stoicism, existentialism, and other philosophical traditions, you can navigate this journey with grace, resilience, and clarity. The tools are in your hands. Now, it's up to you to take action, to apply these insights to your life, and to step confidently into 2025 as a person who is not only recreating themselves, but living in alignment with their highest values and aspirations. Let the wisdom of the ancients guide you, but remember that the power to transform lies within you. This is your journey, your story. Make it one that reflects the best of who you are and who you are becoming.